And that's what umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu like means. It's I am first. Like I am not because we are. I am so that we can be. Not because we are. I'm with regards to the land, because everything with that we need can be produced by the land. So if we have a good relationship with the land, then everything is fine. But in order for us to have a good relationship with the land, we have to like align with the timeline of the land. Like how does the land respond to nature and the sun? I think it's why also we have like festive season fever in South Africa. Like in December, people wanna play. Yo, December is for playing. Relationships are being broken. Like, no, if your relationship is not stable, like, December is a time. Hello and welcome or welcome back to another episode of Rural Living and Innovation. I'm the host of this here podcast, Annelingoya. Umaqozo Mhlanga Gwelindlela Uphusha Nyawoza Intombi kaTholizwe, please. And thank you. Yeah, thank you for joining me for this episode. It's been a minute since I did this type of episode, which is just like all talk and like maybe stitching photos. But yeah, I thought like it's about time. Yo, it's hectic, guys. I've been hectic. It's not the Bandawatala that I asked you for. But it's definitely this Bantabatala that I have and that I have to work with. So I've been pushing, I've been setting up like here the ceiling. If you haven't seen the previous episode, you should check it out. I've also been trying to restock some products for SPQ. I did an episode on that. If you haven't checked it out, you should check that out. And also just like busy. It's so busy. But it's good busy. It's not bad busy. It's good busy. It's just I wish I was better prepared coming into it. But this is not about like how tough life is or how tough adulting actually is. It's more about Ubuntu and the African calendar. So I have been trying to do an episode like this talking. It's a mix of things. So there's like I've just been for myself. If you haven't realized, this is almost like a diary for myself where I kind of just document everything I do. Sometimes I share thoughts and ideas on things, and that's just the nature of it. I'm hoping it in a way changes our mindsets about rurals as people from the rurals, but also um, for people that are not from the rurals, that like put some respect on our name, please. So yeah, that's like what this whole rural living and innovation is. I'm actually considering renaming it to like village living and innovation, because I feel like I've done an episode on this also, on why should I be ashamed of being rural. Because like right now where I live, it is rural, but more than being the ruralness of where I live is the state of the situation, but it's not necessarily a reflection of the lifestyle or our like aspirations. I feel like a village is more like appropriate because it's just an indication of the population and not necessarily the infrastructure, whereas rural has both infrastructural and population implications. I haven't made a decision yet, but as I said, this is just like almost a diary session, and we'll see. Maybe when we get to episode 30, I'll be like, okay, I've made a final decision. But for now, it's still rural living and innovation, because that is the situation also. So this episode is about like two things. I've wanted to add a third element to it, but I thought it would be too long. But also, I don't have a complete, and not even the stuff that I will talk about today, I don't have a complete understanding of, but I have a better understanding of than the colonialism like issue, because I feel like we we understand colonialism and we've dissected it from the colonialist perspective. Oh, they came over, oh, they conquered, and whatever. But the story of the natives has just been of trauma, and I think there is a different story like that can be told from that whole story. Like the victory wasn't that great in reality, and like we are here working 5 days a week and we don't like our lives. So in reality, like, was it really a success, and for whom it was a success? So I want to do a whole thing on that, but I don't really like understand it enough for myself to be able to talk about it. But I feel like I understand Ubuntu and the African calendar better than I understand the colonialism issue. And Ubuntu and the African calendar, I think I understand better simply because I am an African, and most of these things I have been like sort of understanding or coming to realize um from my native language, which is isiZulu, which is isiZulu, and like some of, yeah, the cultural and traditional practices that come with that. So yeah, I've been talking for 6 minutes now, and I haven't even gotten into it, but I will start with Ubuntu first, and then I'll move on to the African calendar, because I think the two are interlinked. But it's a lot easier to start with Ubuntu. So I feel like when we talk about, especially the saying Ubuntu, umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, and Ubuntu being translated to humanity, and like that whole thing of like endearing humanity or centering humanity, is, in a way it's true, but in a way it's false. Ubuntu, I feel like more than anything, is a social and economic system. Like when I think about like traditional practices that we hear, like uksisa, which is a way of expanding wealth. Uksisa is a part of the Bantu or Ubuntu like social and economic system, which just it maintains order among the people, and it shows nobody's hungry, but it also ensures that those who can put in effort do put in the effort to ensure that they stay alive and that their households are sustainable. That's what Ubuntu is really. It's, for me, and everything that I'm going to talk about, like regarding Ubuntu and the African calendar, is my translation of these systems. But Ubuntu, more than anything, is both an economic and social system. It's not just a social system. And this whole thing of umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, like often it's like it's used to promote selflessness, and it has been used to promote selflessness in a way that is not constructive, and I dare say negative, because whoever has more is expected to be sacrificial regardless of or what their intentions of the more, like, is they wanted more for themselves, not for everybody else. So that is not taken into consideration. And considering the number of people, the ratio of people that have and the people that have don't have, it becomes like a burden of the few that do have to make sure that those that don't have do have, but the responsibility of making sure that they also like change their situation is less prioritized. So I don't like the emphasis on umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu situation, because it focuses a lot on the end of the phrase, but actually it starts with umuntu ngumuntu, like first and foremost, respect respect the individual, both internally and externally. Respect the individual. so that like all of us can be fine. If we all respect each other and we respect ourselves, it's a lot easier for us to share resources selflessly, but also to use resources in a way that is empowering, because we understand that we have a like our primary responsibility is to self, but we do also have a responsibility to society. But it's not just to say I am because we are. No, I'm not. I am because we are. I am first, and that's what umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu like means. It's I am first. Like I am not because we are. I am so that we can be. Not because we are. I'm not because we are. Yes, the like this is like this might not be translating in English, but like I am because I just am. I am not because we are not. Like even if other, because like it has this whole devastating effect to losing people. Like when you lose people, it can be like, oh my word, my whole life has collapsed. And like the whole social system is collapsing because people are dying. Whereas if you're still there, like that's the most important aspect of umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. Like if usakhona wena, if you're still there, like prioritize your needs first before you prioritize those of others. But when you've prioritized your needs and you've been able to meet all your needs, then you can prioritize the needs of others. And then you can also like prioritize your own like wants. But like once all our needs are met, it's a lot easier for us to it reduces jealousy, the balances of inequality are reduced. And so I feel like the Western translation and the Western interpretation of umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu is that yeah, I am because we are, and that sacrificial nature and that beneficiary, like it's almost like they are beneficiaries of the system, and then we are all beneficiaries of the system, but nobody is responsible for the system. But Mau, when you translate it in Zulu, like you understand it, like I am first, like I am responsible before I can enjoy the benefits of being part of society. I have to be like centered, I have to be sane, I have to be healthy, I have to be alive to enjoy the benefits of society. But I do acknowledge that there's a society and I have to have that balance. So for me, that is what umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu has meant as a person that lives in the village and is somewhat rural, and some of those principles of old from the Ubuntu system remain. Like I still like it's a lot easier for me to interpret in that way, because like some of those ways of living, traditions and ways of living are still embedded in how we do things here. And outside of umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu, okay, so as an African, I am first so that we can all be. But where am I on the timeline? I think I call it where am I on the timeline because I have no other terminology for it. Like the fact that the different continents have seasons at different times of the Gregorian year, the fact that our seasons are different lengths and they are characterized by different I don't know, weather conditions. Yes, that's the term. They're characterized by different weather conditions, and the when and the how of the weather conditions is what actually defines the year. And because, I'm struggling. This is why I've taken so long to to do one of these because the only things that I want to talk about I actually struggle to articulate. But I feel like it's different timelines because as much as we are all on the same day in that we are sharing the same sun, and that also helps in Zulu. Like in Zulu, this makes a lot more sense than it does in English for me. But we are all like the whole world is experiencing the same sun, but we are not necessarily experiencing the sun in the same way. And because we are not experiencing the sun in the same way, we are on different timelines. And that is my interpretation. And I feel like people think about like timeline jumping as, oh, you must like be out of your mind. Like but like when you if you leave South Africa and you go to Europe and in South Africa, oh my gosh, I keep keeping this slide and stuff. If you leave South Africa and right now in South Africa it's spring, everything is floral and stuff, and you go to Europe and in Europe it's winter, maybe you're a winter baby and you love the cold, and you go to Europe, I don't know, this might be wrong, I don't know if it's winter in Europe right now, but it might be winter in Europe, for example. And wouldn't you say that is a timeline shift because like the seasons are different, and if the passing of time is not marked by seasons, then what is it marked by? Like what is it marked by? Yes, the seasons are marked by the changes of the sun, but the changes of the sun only are like they show how influence how the seasons will change, but the seasons in themselves, the changes in the seasons are what like define a year, and years are what define like the passage of time. And so that being said, as much as the 1st of January globally is a celebration of New Year's, even the fact that like 12 o'clock, like midnight exactly, happens at different times for all of us, even though we are experiencing the same day, is an indication to the fact that, for me, is an indication to the fact that we are on different timelines. And as an African, I feel like I've been working on a European or Western timeline and not an African timeline. And so for the past year, I've been trying to reset my mind and my habits to reflect the African timeline, or to adapt my habits and my practices to the African timeline and not the Gregorian timeline. And so I've been doing that for a year now, and practically it's not really anything, but it also is something. For example, so the African year, I don't know when this 1st of January thing starts. I don't know how that was decided and why we do that globally, but for Africans the beginning of the year is in September, and the beginning of the year is marked by, so when the daylight hours of the day, the 24-hour day, start being longer after winter. So during winter, from summer to winter, the days start getting shorter. In summer, we get the longest days, the sun sets very late. If you're in the Western Cape, it might even set at 9. If you are here in KZN or Richmond, it might set at like 7:30. If you're lucky at 8. But most of the time it will set a bit later than it does in winter. In winter, the sun will set around 4, 4:30, 5. The sun is already gone, it's nighttime. So the beginning of the year is actually marked by the duration of daylight. So when after winter, after the shortest day of the year, the days start getting longer. And there's a star that starts showing up when the days are going to get longer. It's called Indonzalanga Zulu, like the sun puller, direct translation. And once you start seeing Indonzalanga, it means the year has started. Because from this day going forward, the day are going, once you start seeing that star, the days from that day will start getting longer, like, which will mean the daylight hours of the day, there will be more daylight hours. So in winter you might get like 8 hours of daylight, and then after that you will start getting more, you might start getting like 9, 10, or 12, like vibes, you know what I'm saying? So the first day of the year is marked by when the daylight hours start getting longer. And so for us in Africa, that month, the day when the days start, the day of the year when the daylight hours start getting longer, that day is in September, like around the 20th, 21st, 24th, I'm not sure. uh, but that's like the day when, like, that star will be in the sky, and the days will be increasing, the daylight hours will increase like after that. So what does this mean for you as an African? Yeah, you can celebrate the global new year in January, but like, for me, what has it meant starting the year in September? One, I have intentionally celebrated and acknowledged the day. I say Happy New Year to people, Happy New Year to you, because I actually haven't said. Um, it's doing that, celebrating New Year, doing something to celebrate. My dad was also born in September, so last year, me and my friend, we traveled to Cape Town. We had a week long like shandies, and then this year I also had a trip that like for work that was in Cape Town, and then after that we decided to stay a bit longer and then celebrate and do something there. So, but it's also like I'm very intentional about setting my intentions and now writing them down, writing down my goals, because I feel like the universe is in a better mood for creating, you know. It's a time to create. Practically it means I am digging trenches. I remember last time, there's a video that I did about it where my office got flooded because of the heavy rains. Even now my fence is sagging because it rained for 4 days, and I don't know, the soil got too soft and the poles just went. So I have to come up with a plan. But that being said, um, there's also like physical preparation that needs to happen for you to like start the year. So for me, it's digging the trenches. I'm hoping to create a natural pool, like something that will hold the water in summer, but in winter I can use as a like vegetables. In winter I can use as a vegetable storage thing. Um, it's also time to start germinating any plants that you have. Most vegetables or like plants of type, they thrive now. So like spring is for planting, summer is for harvesting. You don't work long days because the day, like, spring is for working also because it's warm enough to work, wet enough for it to be like generative and productive without you putting in so much effort to make it productive. um and it's not so hot like summer. Summer is easier, you get in early because the sun starts early, the day starts early, you get sunlight a lot earlier in the day. You get up, you harvest by like the time 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock comes, you are already done. Like, you've done, if you wake up at 5 in summer, the sun's already out. If you work for 5 hours, by 9 o'clock you are already done with your work day, and then the rest of the day is for chilling. I think it's why also we have like festive season fever in South Africa. Like, in December, people wanna play. Yo, December is for playing. Relationships are being broken. Like, nje, no, if your relationship is not stable, like, nje, December is a time for things to break it, because like that's when summertime actually comes. It's for enjoyment. There's plenty, everything is in harvest. You don't have to work for your food because you already worked in winter. You're just there living life. And then autumn comes, and autumn is also slowing down. It's almost like spring, but it's different because like harsh times are coming where it will be laborers to produce anything. And this is with regards to the land, because everything with that we need can be produced by the land. So if we have a good relationship with the land, then everything is fine. But in order for us to have a good relationship with the land, we have to like align with the timeline of the land. Like how does the land respond to nature and the sun and stuff? And so that's why it's important to like mark your start of your the year in that way for me. And then then I feel like also the universe is just, oh, I wasn't done. So autumn is sorry. So autumn is for like harvesting. You can also do a lot of work. If you have like root plants like sweet potatoes, maybe even potatoes, turmeric and stuff like that, stuff that doesn't require a lot of water but requires to stay underground for a long time. It's winter is good for underground plants because it won't rain. There's nothing much going on, and especially if there isn't green, because the animals also won't eat it. Or if it survives without like too much green, then those are like some of the best plants to have in winter. And then also winter, autumn and winter is when, if you harvested well in spring and summer, and then you preserved well, you are able to enjoy winter. You're more relaxed. It's like autumn and winter is for like relaxation and like just like rewinding, reflection, repairing, if there's any reparations that need to be done, like from the heavy rains. It's a lot cooler also, and the circumstances just allow for a lot of labor, but not for long. That's the thing with winter, is you can work, you can do a lot because the weather conditions allow, but you can't do that for long because the daylight hours are short. And if you're going to be working into the um, late hours, it's a bit counterproductive, because like nighttime is for sleeping. Like the seasons also tell you how much sleep you need, which is why I'm making this video a year after I've been trying to reset for a while, because the seasons also tell you how much sleep you need. In summer, you don't need a lot of sleep, and you can live more. Vibes. You can live more. Like if you wake up at 5, you work 8 hours a day. Even if you work 8 hours a day, let's say for me, I work from home, for example. I wake up at 5. I get the kids done. They're out of the house by 6:30, 6:45. They're already going to school. I'm back in the house and sort of cleaning. By like 8, 8:30, I'm done. I can work on my business for like an hour or 30 minutes. Maybe sometimes you can make it even 2 hours if there isn't a lot of things to be done. And then I can get into my 8 hour workday from 9 to 5. And then from 5 to 7, because the sun sets late, I can go back into doing my personal business, whether it's writing, whether it's making cosmetics, whatever it is. I can go back to doing that, and then I sleep again. And like, probably for me, I try to respect the sunset. When the sun's down, like, I'm 5 to sleep. I'm 5 to sleep, so I'll probably be out and sleeping by like 8, 9 vibes. And then I'm up again at 5. So I'm getting like 9 hours of sleep, but I'm also like just doing the most. If you want to live, like, say for example, you've got a weekend, you wake up at 5, you like, let's say you wake up at 6, even if you wake up at 7, if you wake up at 7, that's when I started becoming a morning person, actually, when I realized if I wake up at 8 to start work at 9 o'clock, in summer, I've already lost like working hours, 3 hours of being awake, and in a week that can amount to like 15 hours. And isn't that like 2 work days? And so for me, it has changed my perspective, and it's also allowed me to do more. And when I haven't been productive, especially in winter, abole chronic depressor, it's a figure that comes with winter. And I feel like I it hasn't hit me as much this year because I've just been accepting most. Oh, not much is going to be happening because it's winter. It's time to be reflective, to repair. There's not going to be a lot of opportunities coming my way. But in spring, it's like then you can start, and then like summertime, you should be seeing the fruits of the fruits of your labor. And I think acknowledging the seasons in nature, in land, the seasons that are a product of the sun, um, has also helped me to like understand and appreciate it. Even with daily living, there will be seasons. Like sometimes I'm better with it now. I used to like berate berate myself for not making quick enough progress here in the office, for not being on time, like done enough, for not being like far enough in my life. But also, I like now I'm just like, okay, this is the season in my life. Let me just like enjoy what I'm doing now. Let's enjoy what's happening now. And what's happening now is we're creating. We might be a bit broke, but like we are enjoying creating with what we have. And because we don't have a big budget, we are not making big mistakes and all of those things. But and then also like within that whole system, like keeping in mind Ubuntu, like that I am first, and how do I fit into this, what do I mean to me, for me, but also how do I fit into the whole system. I think both of those things have really helped me find, um I don't know, like to be okay with being in a capitalist system. I feel like to be umuntu, like to observe Bantu values and to live the Bantu way while being in a capitalist society is possible. And like understanding Ubuntu in that way, and then understanding time in this particular way has helped me like navigate the capitalist system, because it requires a lot of navigating, to be quite honest. And akukho mnandi, quite frankly, to be dedicating like 5 hours of your working day to somebody else's dream and only having 2 days to do your admin. That doesn't make sense. So how do you define time for yourself so that you can get the most out of it? And for me, changing my understanding of time in the African context, and then like I call it timelines because I don't have a different phrase for it. It's time zones, but like time zones doesn't capture the fact that this actually influences the seasons, and the seasons influence lifestyle. So yeah, I don't know. This is like a lot of rambling. This is not, I don't I don't know what type of a viewer this video is for, but I really hope you enjoyed it. And if this video goes, I might do the one on colonialism, even though I haven't fully formed my thoughts around it. Um, but yeah, I hope I will see you in the next video. And if you watched until this far, I really appreciate you. If I had money, I'd be like, go buy your mama a house. But I don't have money. Okay, see you in the next episode. Bye.